Hello students, myself Dr. Govardhan Edu, Assistant Professor Physics, Government Rajulation College, Rajim. Today I am going to deliver a video lecture on the ruby laser. In my previous video, we had discussed about what is laser, what is the full form of laser, what are the difference of ordinary light and laser, and what is the process going on inside the laser system. So let us start with the ruby laser. Ruby is a type of gem. It is a solid state laser and it has 3-level system. So first of all, discuss about the components and parts of the laser. So there are mainly 3 parts of a laser, but in case of ruby laser there are 4 parts. So first part of the ruby laser is called active medium. Now we can define the active medium. It is a medium where light get amplified. It is a medium where stimulated emission can be achieved. It is a medium where population inversion can be achieved. Here the active medium consists of 2 parts, active center and host material. In case of ruby laser, the host material is the aluminum oxide, Al2O3. This is the host material for the ruby laser, and the active center is the chromium ion. So the aluminum oxide is the base to contain the energy level of a chromium ion. So the second part is the resonant cavity. The resonant cavity is the arrangement of 2 parallel plates, out of which one is perfect reflector and another is partially reflector. In case of ruby laser, the ends of a ruby rod makes a resonant cavity. So the resonant cavity in the ruby crystal is shown in here. This is the ruby rod, and the left hand is the totally reflector and right hand is the partial reflector. At the end of partial reflector, the red color light pulse can be emitted when the population of the red color is enhanced. So now we come in a third process. This is the pumping process. In the ruby laser, the optical pumping can be used. For that, we can use here the helical tube filled with xenon gas. Here, this is the helical tube which is wounded around the glass. So this helical tube is filled with the xenon gas. Xenon is the inactive inert gas. So the excited power of that gas is very high. So this xenon filled tube emit pulses of light. It is not continuous. It is discrete, but it is highly intense. It falls on the ruby crystal. So the fourth part of this laser is the cooling system. Here we cannot draw the cooling system arrangement. The cooling system arrangement is similar as the helical tube. Water can be used for the cooling system. Here there are much amount of heat generated due to the laser process. So for the compensation of that heat, we can use water which is continuously rotated around the helical tube. So the fourth component is very important here. This is the construction part, as we discussed before. This is the glass tube where the ruby rod L23 plus chromium ion is situated inside, and helical tube is wounded around that, and the right hand side where the partial reflector and the laser pulse comes outside, and the helical tube is connected to the power supply. Here the power supply is very high, around 10 kilowatt. So now we discuss about the energy level diagram of the ruby laser. As we said that the active center in the ruby laser is the chromium ion. So the energy level diagram for chromium ion is the 3-level system. Now you can see here E3, E1, E2, E3 and E4. E1 is the ground state, E2 is here called metastable state. Why it is called metastable state can be discussed later. E3 and E4 is the unstable excited state. As we discussed in our previous video, the excited state of laser is highly unstable, and the lifetime of that state is around 10 to the minus 8 seconds. So the particle or atoms cannot stay much more time in that state. So the particle in that state undergo to its lower energy state by some process. So when the the pulses of light falls on the ruby crystal, the chromium ion, the ground state chromium ions undergo to E2, E3 and E4 energy states. The property of chromium ion is that it absorbs only blue and green light, and undergo to E3 and E4. Here from E1 to E3, the transition belongs to green light and absorb the blue light. The chromium ion goes from E1 to E4 state. The wavelength of the green light is around 5500 angstrom, and the wavelength of the blue light is around 4000 angstrom. When the atoms comes in E3 and E4 state, that is the highly unstable state, so the particle does not stay much more time and lose its energy and undergo to E3 to E2 and E4 to E2. This is the non-radiative process and it is very fast. This is non-radiative process and it is very fast. The particle in E3 and E4 lose their energy when it interacts with the crystal lattice and lose its energy in the form of some heat, and heat can be compensated by the water or any other cooling materials. So the particles fastly comes to the E2 state, and once a time when the density of the particle in E2 is much greater than E1, then population inversion condition can be achieved. At the time when the concentration of the particle is high, then the E1, then there are three possibilities. One, the particle remain in that state first. Second, the particle undergo from E2 to E1 by spontaneous emission, and third, the particle undergo from E2 to E1 by the stimulated emission. So for the laser action, the probability of stimulated emission is high, But when one of the particle undergo E2 to E1 by the spontaneous emission, that emitted particles, that emitted radiations doesn't goes outside, because there is a resonant cavity in the ruby crystal. So the emitted spontaneous particles is totally responsible for the stimulated emission. Those particles who comes E2 to E1 by the spontaneous emission can stimulate the other excited state particles. Here the E2 is called metastable state because here the population inversion condition can be achieved. So the spontaneous particle goes forth and back in the system, and at a very short time period they can stimulate the particle which is situated in E2 state. The condition of stimulated emission is discussed in the previous lecture. When the induced particle is similar to the excited state particle in respect of frequency, phase and direction of polarization. So the spontaneously emitted particle is equivalent to the E2 particles. So the spontaneous particle is induced in the particle in E2 state, and it stimulates the E2 particles. So one particle H nu stimulates the particles and forms two another particles, and two another particle stimulates to another particle at E2 and makes four particles. And these particles are same in frequency, same in phase, same in direction of polarization. So there is a multiplication process, and we can achieve the same phase, same energy, same direction of polarization. So the definition of the laser, we can get a prominent laser pulse, and the wavelength of the spontaneously emitted particle or stimulated emission particle is around 6943 angstrom. That is correspond to red color. So from the ruby laser we can get 6943 angstrom wavelength light pulse, which is the red color. So the red color can be achieved by the ruby laser action. The heat generated within the system can be compensated by the water or other cooling system. The main advantage of the ruby laser is it produces highly intense laser beam which can be used in industrial purpose like welding, melting, etc. But it is not continuous. It is a disadvantage. So it cannot be used as the experimental purpose, and from the lake of ruby laser we cannot use in medical purpose, defense purpose and other experimental purpose. But the intensity is very high, efficiency is very low. When we apply 10 kilowatts, around 1 kilowatt laser beam can be obtained, but it is very intense. So the intensity is high but not the discreteness of the laser pulse. That's why it cannot be used in experimental purpose. So this is the ruby laser, and we can discuss what are the construction, what is the working process, and what are the advantage and disadvantage. Thank you.